audience. You're a gathering that is mixed with people from the UNESCO delegation. I welcome you again to day two. The leadership of Alliance University, students of this great institution, participants and students from other institutions, faculty and staff, general public, press and media. I want us all to give a big round of applause to Nayana Motamma. The more I read about her, the more videos I watched, I could identify myself, certain elements of myself, where I come from, how my behavior to certain situations have been. I could do that, honestly, ma'am. And she's gracefully told me to call her Naina, so which I will stick to. Without further ado, I will try my best to try to get as much as possible from Miss Naina about her life journey and what she's doing and what she wants to do in the future. So here we go. Let me start off with this. You come from a constituency, Mudigere. Growing up there, being part of there, coming from there, what are some of 2 to 3 values that have engraved in you so much that you are proud of? 1, 2, or 3 values.
That's a very difficult question. Good morning to everyone. One correction, my mother is still alive. So, yeah, just, no, it's totally fine. Just wanted to correct that. I think, I think identity. I think one of the biggest things I've learned coming from there is sort of identifying and retaining your identity is very important because I sort of, even though I grew up there, I spent a lot of my childhood at boarding school and being out of Mudigere, and I spent a lot of my holidays there. My initial education was there, and I think going back, I think the most important thing was about identity. Um, and I think the second thing, I think coming from there, is about taking everybody together. I think that was one of the biggest values that I think I learned from there because I think when I grew up, what I saw was in my household, because I came from a political family, as to how everybody was taken along. Anybody and everybody was welcomed inside my house, but I've seen the constituency change over the years. And when I came back to do politics, that was one of the biggest challenges that I faced. And I think I really do understand and do realize the value of taking everybody together. And I think third is just being compassionate. I think I live in a constituency where 90% of it is coffee plantation, and the rest of it is just a mix of everything else. So it is clearly divided between the plantation owners and the people who work on the estate. So since it's almost 50% there and 50% here, the working class or the labor class as we call it, I think compassion is something that is very important. I think being able to understand their problems is very important. I think these are the I think 3 main values. I think as I grew up, as I matured, I think that's something that I really understood, or I sort of retained with me.
Very nice. Identity, taking people along with compassion. So that title, Leading with Compassion, rightly suits it.
I didn't realize that.
I've met your mother. My mother and I spoke very dearly about how strong a woman she is. I'm sure you would have had innumerable number of learnings you would have imbibed, you would have observed her. But the question to you is, what are some of the things that you do that is different from your mother?
It's a, I think it's a paradox. Because I've done everything that's unlearning of what my mother has done. I'm hugely conflicted with where my mother stands and where I stand.
Good to
So
know.
even though she's a strong personality, everybody should, I think those who don't know, I think which most of you all don't know, is I face the most amount of opposition coming into politics from my mother, not from anybody else.
Oh,
So uh, I have her name, I carry that name, but she was not at all encouraging, and she never wanted me to be in politics. She wanted me to continue to do law and just establish myself there. And so, to answer your question very simply, I do everything different from my mother.
okay. Well, Naina, there could have been a, a point in your life where you decided that you have to make this shift from a corporate career to a political career. What was that point and when did it come about? Was it something in the brewing or one fine day it just happened so that somebody told you something got ignited inside and you said, Amma, nan politics al bartini. What happened?
No, it was always brewing. So I grew up in the household. I mean, my mother's got almost 45 years plus of politics. And but my parents always tried to teach me that I should go into competitive exams. They wanted me to do UPSC exams. So I was always, they were trying to attune my thinking to that. But growing up in that household, I thought, I mean, my mother had access to an IAS officer, she had access to the police officer, she had access to the health department, she had access to the education department, she had access to every other department, and she could help people through those methods. And I felt the authority was much more with the politician than I would see it coming from in any other medium or any other authority. So for me, that was always brewing. It was just the question of time. When was it going to happen? And I wanted to come into politics as soon as I finished law. But of course, destiny, things don't go always as you plan. I had to wait for a long time to get here. And yeah, it's been a long awaited journey or path, I should say.
Very nice. Talking about destiny, talking about path, we all meet our life partners in different walks of our own life. When was that moment for you? Was that also brewing? Did you know him? Where did you find him? Tell us a little bit about something that we already don't know.
I met him just like this at the college campus. so,
Oh, so you're throwing
so,
hints.
so I met him at National Law School. He was from Delhi, and I was obviously from Bangalore, and I was just this outspoken person. He was this very quiet person. We were totally opposite each other. He was as North Indian as anybody could get, and I was as South Indian as anyone could get. So, yeah, that's how we met. But again, that was not an easy one too, because he's a Marwadi and I come from the Dalit community, so the match was not at all easy. We faced a bit of opposition, and I think resilience was what sort of sailed us through, and we made it so far. It's been about 18 years of marriage. So
Congratulations, congratulations. Well, um, there, there are a lot of misconceptions, or probably these are conceptions rightly found. Now, let's get into the heart of the discussion. What it is, in your opinion, to be a politician, a woman politician, a Dalit woman politician? Just give us your opening statement.
I think first I'd like to say about what it is to be a politician. I mean, being a politician is one, being an elected representative is another one. I think politician is, I went on to become a politician. I officially joined the Congress party in 2015, and I got my ticket in 2023 and I contested elections and got elected in 2023. So right now, yeah, being technically, yes, I mean, you continue to be a politician. I think for me, it's been an extremely satisfying journey. This is something that I always dreamt of. There are frustrating days, obviously, because it takes out a lot of mental and physical pressure out of you. I mean, I have been a corporate lawyer, I've been a bit an entrepreneur for some time, but then when I got into politics, I didn't realize I've seen my mother do it, but once you are in those shoes, I think it saps the energy out of you. You really are not prepared for what is coming to you. The issues are varied, but if you're set out to be this, I mean, if you're extremely passionate about this profession, that this is what you want to do. I mean, when you help people, when you see that satisfaction and that smile, or when they feel, when they feel that they come, like, they come to you with a lot of pressure, they come to you with a lot of anxiety, will this happen or not happen? And once you've done that job, right, you see that, the difference that you can make
True. The
to
impact
their
that you
life.
create in their
So
life. Yeah.
all of that, becomes worth it. All of the traveling, all of the calls, all of the abuses, everything just becomes worth it. So I think that's about being a politician. I mean, I think it's the hardest job that I have done so far in my life. Being a woman, Dalit politician, I'll just give you a small sort of I don't know whether it was an advice or just a saying that somebody told me. I've said it on many stages, but since this is a young audience, I think it may be a right place to say it. Another senior politician told me this, that if I was, if my father was a politician and if I was a man, a male politician, it would have been, I would have been starting on a scale of 10, probably on 10. Okay? If I was, if my father was a politician and if I was the daughter, then I would have been probably starting on a scale of, say, 7 or something like that. If my mother is a politician and she had a son, then probably that son would have been starting at a 5. But if your mother is a politician and you're a woman, then you're starting not even at 0, you're starting at a negative number. So this is the perception about women politicians, and the fact that I am a woman Dalit politician. I mean, I've faced my I've faced my difficulties, I've faced my challenges. It's not easy, and because I appear the way I do, I am outspoken the way I am. So a lot of times people tell me don't play the woman card. So I do not play the woman card, but the reality is that we as women do face a lot of challenges. I think the fact that the numbers will speak, that is, in a house of 224, we are only 11 women elected MLAs. So that itself, I think, says as to where women stand. And if you think about the number of Dalit women politicians, I think because we are afforded the reservation, that is just as SC or STs, I think we may be about, I mean, we are about 2 or 3. Yeah. So that's what it is. I don't know whether I answered it correct or
No, you
you
did.
were
You
looking for
did.
something else, but
No,
yeah.
no, this was an opening statement. More pointed questions coming, Nana. If you guys have seen videos of Nana being interviewed, how she's faced criticism for things that every normal individual does, but just because she's a politician, she's looked at from a different lens, expected to be in a certain way. I must tell you, she's faced this with a lot of grit, with a lot of confidence. My question, Naina, How do you face fear? How do you face intimidation? How do you face it just as an individual?
I think I'm quite fearless actually. So I really don't know what fear is. I mean, I probably just have a little bit of tingling feeling in my heart, before I do something. But then I say, what the hell? I'm just going to do it. And then we will face it later. So, um, yeah, I've been told this a lot. I have been, I've been told a lot that I am quite fearless. Probably I just don't know. I think it's just an inherent quality. But I should tell you, I mean, since your question was about, how I've faced a lot of people look at me from a different lens. Last night, I got a call from somebody I know in the constituency. They just gave me a call. There were 3 missed calls from that person, so I picked up the call, and she was one of our ex president of the municipality, and she said they own a small resort there, and she said, I have few guests here, women guests. They wanted to speak to you. I said, okay. And they said, no, they really want to speak to you. I said, okay, sure. And they were from Hassan. They're not even from my constituency. Hassan's about 60 kilometers. And I asked them, okay, so, and each one of them spoke to me. And they just said, we just love the way you face the criticism. We love the way you take on people. You just say it the way it is. You don't care. You just tell me. And they said, continue to be this. It's fine that you may not have a lot of supporters. I mean, supporters egging for you, but just continue to be this. Just be outspoken. Wear what you want. Speak the way you want. Just be this person. For us, it's like a breath of fresh air. So that's what they told me. And they were, you know what they were? They were all retired women. They're couples who travel with their husbands every few months, go from place to place, all well settled, but they're just taking their retired life like this. So for me, those words are extremely encouraging. And a day before that, I met, in fact, one of my, somebody from my own party. He has 3 daughters, and his eldest daughter is a software engineer who's working right now, working out of home right now. She's just has a 1-year-old daughter. When I was leaving, I had gone for a small program, and when I was leaving, she told me, I follow both your official account and your personal account. And she said, I admire that the most. For me, those sort of words are worth being what I am. I think that's what it is. I just want
Keeps
to
you
be
going.
voices for those people who cannot be a voice outside.
Talking about your constituency, you mentioned about it. What do you see as one of the major challenges in your constituency? And what did you, as an elected representative, do in your first 100 days to address that?
That's a very unreal goal, but
At least made attempts towards that. Or we could minus the days, but one problem that you identified, saying, this is something that I will solve.
okay, let me be truthful. Caste is the biggest problem in any constituency. Caste dynamics is one of the biggest challenges. That's something that we cannot fix. I mean, that is the reality of being a politician. I know that, when we sit in a setup like this, I have basically grown up in a setup like this. We don't realize it as much, but once you go out of this and try to marry somebody, try to establish yourself in your professional career, you will realize the impact that caste has. And I think that's one of the biggest things. I mean, that's the biggest reality. And I mean, that's a change. I mean, ideally, all of us would want to see, right? But yeah, but that's the reality, and that's something that I cannot fix in 100 days, or I don't know how many in 1,000 days, or I don't know, 1,000 years, I guess. I mean, at least that's the reality of India. I think in my first 100 days, I think one of the biggest things that I felt was about schools and the toilet hygiene, sanitary conditions of that of a government school. For me, I think I just went about trying to fix that. I said no. I think because in a rural setup, people would be worried to come out from a rural setup like mine and establish themselves in Bangalore, Mysore. One, because they don't have the speaking skill sets, and two, I don't think whether they will learn as much or to sort of adjust to a lifestyle in the city. So I found that, can we start at the basic level? That is, kids understanding that they can have clean toilets. I think it is just, for me, it was starting from there. So I used a lot of my funds, whatever I would get, to ensure that every school that I went to, that if that requires repairs, let's do it. I know that people sitting here will not even understand what it is unless you've studied in a government school, or unless you came from a rural setup. But we are lacking there. And I don't think, and especially as a woman, I think I should understand that girls, who go to government schools, they can't really speak up, they can't really speak out. So I felt it was my job to do that and sort of sensitize as to how important it is. So I think I could say that, for the first 100 days, I spent a lot of my time just drilling into the head that you need to have clean toilets, you need to teach the kids how to be hygienic. And because that will go a long way in establishing them to come out, when they come out to work outside, to be able to do well for themselves and to be able to
Sure.
adjust to crowds like this.
True. True. Naina, well, someone looks. I was telling Naina just before this session that I have almost covered all the videos that I could possibly find on YouTube. And what came across beneath all the firmness was a very, very compassionate human being, that eventually leading to a compassionate leader. But being an elected representative, you will have to yield in, or you will have to take the whip out sometimes. So, how do you balance compassion and firmness in getting work done?
So when do people come to politicians? People come to politicians to find loopholes in the law. 90% of the time, 90 or 95% of the time. They don't come to you most of the time because there's a straight path and let's go on that straight path. So I look at the economic status of that person, and that's where that's where the it kicks in that you need to be compassionate. If you look at a person who really needs a particular thing, something to do with health, something to do with education, something to do with food, something to do with a job, and if you have the possibility to bend the law, then you try and do it so that it helps them. Because that's where you need to be able to empathize with that person as to why it is required, or how important it is for that person, right? So that's where it mostly kicks in, the entire compassionate grounds. I am probably considered one of the most strictest MLAs the constituency has ever seen. So the point about being educated, it really helps because that's a card. More than being a woman, I use the education card. So when the officers talk to you, come to you, you read every line. They're worried that you would read every line. They know that you will, find them. If we find them at fault, then we will not spare them. And so that's the one thing that they're very worried about me. And there are certain things, I have certain principles, like I do not give up on government land. I do not give up, things which are helpful for particular communities whose economic backgrounds are not in a good they're not in a good shape or a good state. So these are things where I take pretty much, the hard route or the strict route.
All right. How have been seniors in your party appreciative of you? I've seen photographs, videos of you being greeted by the national party leaders, women leaders with a lot of compassion. They admire you for who you are. Does that percolate across in your party?
I was one of the biggest underdogs to get into politics and to make it here. Nobody thought I will make it here. Nobody thought I would get elected. Nobody thought I would lead my life, my political journey or life the way I am doing. So I've exceeded everybody's expectations, I think, and which has been an advantage for me because then they look at you with newfound respect. So I think that's what I found. I think the fact that people underestimated me so much. Uh, Now suddenly it just feels like, okay, really, was she always going to be like this? Did we really,
I get it.
when did we go wrong somewhere? So yeah, so for me, I think across board, I think for me, especially in state politics, I think I don't know so much about the national leadership or how they view me, but I could tell you that even people who mentored me, I don't think that they thought that I would make it. So yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, there have been a lot of controversy, not just with respect to politicians in the state, but outside of the state, where symbolism and goes beyond genuinity of the person. Um, there was an incident where people commented on the color of what you wore, and how did how did you genuinely look at it? Does it, or let me put this way, Naina, what does it take to be a politician? Is it a lot of resilience just to observe, wait for your time, or to speak out what you stand for? How do you make that decision? If you get what I mean.
Yeah, I like the way you asked this question, which is basically circumventing the incident, but it's not, it's fine. So he's asking me about a particular incident which happened in my constituency, and then there have been certain things in and around that, where I wore a saffron shawl for one of the Ganpati festivals, and then I mean it was just not about the saffron shawls. There were various aspects about that incident which got spoken about, or the controversy erupted around that. Like I said, I think the first thing when I do this, I think about myself as a politician, right? I'm here to do politics. I'm very clear about the messaging that I'm doing. I'm very clear when I am. I look at the dynamics in my constituency. I look at my voters. I know the percentage of the population which are there, and I am there to represent everyone. I think. I think most people on educated, uneducated, caste, community, whatever, I think for them, if you take pride in yourself, pride in your identity, I think people will understand it very easily. And if you sort of try to get away from it, I don't think people are appreciative of that, and especially the youth these days. So this entire thing about even being taking pride about our country, it's so important, right? With all the youth, or
Yes.
you know the India that we are living in right now. So I think that for me was in my politics. That's very important. Like I said, that I'm a
A Hindu.
Hindu, I'm a
Yes.
Dalit, I'm
Yes.
a woman. So I
Yes.
said all these things are very important to me. So yeah, so that's the way it goes.
Round of applause, gentlemen, please.
Abhi,
I couldn't ask the question straight. She did a straight bat here. And if you're not familiar, go out and Google and you'll find out. Now, let's turn our attention towards the young faces here, Nana. A lot of students, women students, male students, would like to get into politics, if not active politics, at least in policy making. What are some of the three areas that they could get into when you look at policy making, public policy, or even active politics?
I think in politics, you need to decide whether you want to do electoral politics or non-electoral politics. I think that's the most important thing that you need to decide. And once, if you've taken that decision, it's very easy. And then if you decide that you want to get into electoral politics, which is basically contesting elections, where is it that you want to contest from? Which level do you want to contest from? I think that is the clarity that most people lack. You know, they're not very sure. They think that politics, let's just follow the crowd, let's just follow the herd. That shouldn't be the case. I mean, you should be very clear. Like, do you want to start at the basic level? Do you want to start at the Gram Panchayat level? Do you want to start at the Taluk Panchayat, Jilla Panchayat level? Do you want to represent, in Bangalore, say for example, the corporation, one of the wards, or do you want to then contest in the MLA election, or do you want to do the Lok Sabha elections? So these are very, I mean, theoretically, these are the choices. And it's not easy, not at all easy. Okay, let's just be realistic about it. It was not easy for me. Even with the name, it was not easy for me. It's not going to be easy. It is going to be a lot of hard work. Once with the hard work, obviously, it's always said luck comes with it. And if you work hard, yeah. The other thing about non-electoral politics is, yes, I mean, if you can work for a political party and not want to do electoral politics, there are other things, indirect elections. You could be an MLC, you could get chairmanship, you could become directors. And yeah, policy making is a very small niche part of it. There are not that many jobs there, but it's there. It's now, I think there's a lot of picking up.
Picking up,
Yeah, there's
yes.
a lot of recognition in India. There are a lot of people who work with non-governmental organizations which only do this. Or there are, I know even there are law firms which just only do this policy making. Yeah, or basically these are the options. But yeah, it's not an easy road at all. I think it's a very long. I mean, if you're prepared for it, yeah, that's how it is.
Okay. A lot of discussion these days happen surrounding skills. You need to be an engineer. Well, of course, you need to have these qualifications, this knowledge, but these skills as well. What are those skills that you would advise, not just women, but anyone here who wants to get into areas that you just now pointed out? Some of the non-negotiable skills. Maybe public speaking. I don't know. Some of the skills that these kids, we have a lot of students from the liberal arts here. They may take, public policy as one of their specializations or courses.
I will speak in the reverse manner.
Okay.
So if it's policy making, obviously you need to study, you need to be educated, be a graduate to do policy making, which is basically work with organizations or work with politicians to do that. To be a politician, you don't need anything. I'm sorry, but that's the truth. I mean,
You
in
need
the
a
sense,
compassionate heart and a
I mean, should
lion's
I,
grit.
like, okay, people who have been successful in politics, I think they've broken all these myths, right? I mean, do you need to be educated? No. Is every good public speaker a politician? No. I mean, do you need to be an engineer? Do you need to be a doctor? I mean, no. I mean, how can I answer that question by saying that you need to be this? I think you just need to know to do politics. I mean, you just need to be connected on the ground. You just need to be there in the constituency. I mean, if you've chosen a ward, then be the ward, work day and night with the ward, familiarize yourself, you'll pick up. I used to be an extremely bad speaker, but I've picked up over the years. So that's what it is. I mean, in the sense, you just pick up. But yeah, to be a politician, you don't need to know everything. I mean, that's the truth of it. But yes, when I did law, I know you're going to may ask me that question, but when I did law, I knew I wanted to be a politician. I took up law because I wanted to be a politician. But that's me. But that doesn't mean everybody else is that. So
Got it. Frankly speaking, with Nana, what does
just hope that this doesn't make headlines anywhere.
what does it mean to you being successful in public life? Is it getting re-elected or creating an impact?
I think it's a mix of both, right? You cannot create an impact if you do not get elected again and again. And I think, women politicians do not have that great a track record. Most women politicians don't. Very few have. I mean, who've gotten elected every now and then. I think to create an impact, you need to be elected. There is just no other way.
Okay. Another question in the same lines, Nana. If history were to write about you, I know you've just started out, but if you were to sit down one day when nobody's around, think in your balcony with a cup of coffee or a tea, which she says, I don't know yet. What would you want history to look at you? What do you want them to talk about you as?
That I gave a lot of young girls confidence to be who they are. I think I think especially in the country that we live in, I think, I mean, every time I go to a particular place, I only think about even if one person can take away from what I'm saying, what I'm doing. I think that's what I want. That's the legacy I would like to leave. I think it is not just headlines. I think it's just if they could get inspired to do whatever, but just the fact that I could have given them that confidence by being here, by doing what I'm doing. I think that's what I would want to.
Sure. We have the veteran politician, Madam Margaret Alva, coming tomorrow here. I would like to ask her a question on behalf of you. What would that question be?
What is what's been the most satisfying work that she may have done, because she's had a very long, illustrious career. She's been governor of many states. She's been a union minister. She's been a Rajya Sabha MP. She's been a Lok Sabha MP. So I think what has been the most satisfying role? Yeah.
Satisfying role. I'll keep that in mind. Now, let's switch gears into something a little personal. How is your husband? How is your family life? How supportive? Of course, I've seen a lot of videos where you're so sweetly talking about him. Tell us about him, his hobbies, and tell us a little bit more about your marriage.
I think nobody's asked me this question before at all. I mean, it's just been about my political life. I think my husband is like one of the coolest persons that I know of. Like, cool as in, that doesn't mean swag, okay? That doesn't mean that. He's just very cool headed. I mean, he just doesn't. Um, take things very seriously and takes anything to heart. So that makes our life very easy. He's extremely funny. I mean, my humor is like sort of dry, wry. He's not like that. He's extremely funny. He loves food. So since he's a Marwadi, so food is like a very important aspect of being with him. I think in my political journey, if you ask me to single out one person who stood by me rock solid, I think it was my husband, more than my mother. Like I said, I mean, it's unfortunate that I couldn't retain his name when went into politics, because media didn't allow me to. I mean, media just renamed me on its own when I was a spokesperson. They just said Nayana Motamma because it is just so much easier to recall. Otherwise, officially, I am Nayana Jhavar. But nobody recognizes me by that name. But yeah, that's what it is. So, I mean, in the sense, he's been rock solid.
Very nice to have such a companion. Folks, I would leave the audience to question, but before we get to that, there's a quick rapid fire. I encourage all young minds here Look at this person, comes from a humble background, a political background, and it is not easy. There are a lot of expectations. If you've been there, you would know that. A lot of expectations, and then you'll have to fit into a very large shoe. Here's your opportunity to speak your mind out, ask questions. It could be about what it is to be just a woman in power or anything. So pick your questions. We'll finish the rapid fire and very, very few rapid fire questions, and then we'll come to you. All right, Naina. Coffee estate mornings or Bengaluru energy?
Coffee estate mornings.
I thought so. Chai or coffee?
I have chai always, but because I can't get a good cup of coffee, I really believe that other than filter coffee, which is difficult to make at home. I mean, in the sense, I don't think we've perfected the art. Only if the coffee is made in a particular way, I love the coffee. Otherwise, I just make it, keep it easy. I just drink tea.
She's giving cues. The coffee was not good this morning. Next one. One book that has shaped you.
I think I read a lot of autobiographies. I mean, in the sense, I won't say a lot, like, but over the years, I've read a lot of biographies. So, like Indira Gandhi's autobiography, Barack Obama's autobiography, sports stars, their autobiography. I think I find that very inspiring. So yeah, these books, because anybody who has struggled, to like establish themselves and create an impact, I really, take up.
Inspirational.
Yeah.
Okay. One habit, one habit that keeps you grounded.
One habit that keeps me grounded, is it? That's very difficult.
Maybe a prayer in the morning, anything. One habit that you feel keeps you grounded, no matter where you go.
Actually, I'm not able to answer that very rapidly. What is it that keeps me grounded? Oh,
Okay, we'll come back to it. The hardest word in politics, no, or sorry, or I don't know.
no. You cannot say a no, but I do say a no many times. You cannot say no as a politician, but yes. Like if I had said no to come to this university, to this, to participate in this event.
Thank you. All right, one myth about MLAs that needs to be broken. What is that one myth? That we are not like this.
Yeah, that we are not cool set of people. We are actually. Most of them are. At least the ones, most of my colleagues are. They're quite chilled out actually. But which most people don't know. Yes, they are quite chilled out.
Compassion, the most hashtag word in this session. Compassion in one sentence.
I think coming from where I am or the role that I play, I think compassion with people who need you to understand their story, and you may not be in their shoes. Just most of the time, you're not in their shoes. I think just being able to understand their difficulties, and it's a very it's a very large gap, the sort of people that you're trying to address, the setup that they are in and the setup that we are in, and we can we can just not try and understand their stories. And it's like, I've had this, I'll give you an example. There's one lady who calls me very regularly, and she lost her child to a snake bite during in an Anganwadi center. And she's not received any compensation, and this has happened even prior to my term. I think just being able to give her that assurance, okay, I am trying to do it. I mean, it just could get frustrating because probably it's not in the permissible limits of, it's gone beyond a particular period of time, and it's sort of difficult to sort of speak to the get to the higher ups to understand the position. But just being able to say nice words, I think, just being that comfort factor. See, because I'm not in her shoes, and just understanding that thing, I think compassion for me is just that being, bridge that, to be able to bridge that gap. I think, what keeps me grounded, I think people. I think just people. People just keep me grounded. I think
Your
it's,
interaction with them,
yeah, I think
that
just
story.
people, everyday people. People just keep me grounded. I mean, I would want to be grounded for the rest of my life. I mean, otherwise, this is something that you could get into your head. Yeah, people.
All right. We close this one with one last question, which is one Kannada word that defines your worldview. One Kannada word that defines your worldview.
Jai Karnataka, probably.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it was fantastic talking to Nana. I personally enjoyed it, but for the sun and the time, I would have loved to continue this. A
Thank
big
you.
round of applause.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right, to the young folks here and also others, anyone, you have burning questions to ask. Okay. Can we take some audience questions? Yes.
Of
Okay.
course.
Oh,
Yes, please.
a very good morning, ma'am. Welcome to Alliance University.
Thank you.
I am Shreyas. Uh, Ma'am, we have seen uh, for the past 5 years, we've seen many women leaders. We have Hillary Clinton, we have presidential candidate Kamala Harris, we have former Chancellor Angela Merkel, we have, we have had former Chief Minister Jayalalitha, and we have Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee and whatnot. The state of Karnataka has not had a woman chief minister. Uh, we would like to see you in office. What are your thoughts?
Frankly, I would want to go to Delhi to do my politics. So, I mean, that's where I am looking at. I mean, if I do get an opportunity, I'd want to move.
Very
So,
nice.
I would not want to limit myself to the state. I
Great,
mean, that's my simple answer.
great. So you picked up some things from the other women leaders across India and across the globe. If you could share one insight, that would be great.
I think for most of these women, I think it's the grit. I think it is just the grit. I mean, it's nothing else. I mean, it's, like you said, Karnataka has not had a woman chief minister. Like United States hasn't had a woman
Women.
president. So it's just that. I think it's just grit and determination to get there.
Sure. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Shreyas.
Thank you, Shreyas. Yes.
Good morning, sir, and good morning, ma'am. So my question is, having been an MLA or the politician for long period of time, so why most of the people are going towards corrupting their hands, going on amassing wealth, disproportionate? So why should not the people have lead a contented life? So what is that the point I want to have a small clarification from you, ma'am?
Sir, it's like the chicken and egg situation. Which came first? Did the egg come first or did the chicken come first? I mean, in the sense, the entire polity is such that, I mean, in the sense, I don't think politics works without money. I mean, in the sense, if voters were not, you know, uh,
Bribed.
if voters were not taking money, I think who politicians wouldn't make the money. So who does it first? I mean, I don't know which came first. That's why. Did the chicken come first or did the egg come first? Or was it the voters who were asking for the money or was it the politician who was offering the money?
But we can try to cleanse the system, not to whatever extent you belong.
Of
Yes,
course, for
that
sure.
should be the idea. Yes,
Yes, of course. I mean, in the sense, yes, I mean, that's something that everybody would like to achieve. There are certain constituency which are,
yes.
which work in that manner. I mean, the elections in those constituency work in that manner, but that's not true for
Okay.
the entire country.
So it cannot be specific. No? It is only a man between man. That's all.
Yes,
I believe. Yeah.
maybe.
Okay.
Yes,
Thank you,
sir.
ma'am. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
We'll come to you
Given,
next. Yeah,
yes,
why
ma'am.
don't you stand up so that everyone can see you? Thank you.
Ma'am, given that you have said that there are around 224 members of Legislative Assembly and only 11 are women, what do you think is a key element that would let more women to engage in active politics? Because even people like me who are aspiring to be female politicians, we look at parties that talk about feminism, but still when you look into that, you will see those female politicians often controlled by the male members of the same party, and they are not let to speak their heart out loud and address to the public regarding the issues. So, what do you think will help next generation women to get into politics or the previous generation women to engage in political participation?
I'll answer it in a different manner, okay? So, sit- so the entire society as such is patriarchal. Okay, I'll give you an incident. I got elected as an MLA and I'm sitting at my desk. So I have my party members who come to me and tell me, Madam, we don't want this PDO, which means Panchayat Development Officer. She's a woman. We don't want her. So that is the mindset of our country, of our society as such. So women are not easily accepted in any role. It's not just about politics. Okay, politics, it just becomes niche because it's like a pyramid, right? Everything in life, everything is like a pyramid. So the people who are able to go on top are only that many people. So it just becomes harder for a woman to get there. So yes, I mean, as a society, if we start changing our mentality to a large extent, it has changed. So what we call the panchayat system as in what I was talking about, the gram panchayat, jilla panchayat, and the taluk panchayat, and the municipality or the BBMP, or now it is called the Greater Bangalore GBA, which is going to be. There's 50% reservation for women. So as such, 50% of the people who are going to contest are women. So there is no other choice but to elect a woman. The only way for now, okay, this will get resolved is when 33% reservation, 33 percentage of reservation comes into legislative politics and into the parliamentary system.
Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, sir. First of all, I'd like to thank you for this insightful session. So my question is, before getting into the political field, you were an advocate at High Court of Karnataka. So as a law student, I would like to ask you, like, how did the legal field help you steer your political career? And how would you describe your legal field in one sentence?
Okay, so I just want to make a correction. I'm enrolled with the Bar Council. Okay, I haven't really practiced in the High Court of Karnataka, but I was a corporate lawyer. For most of the time that I was a lawyer. How did it help? Just the fact that as a law student, you do a lot of research, you do a lot of reading, you're able to understand the law. That helps a lot in being a politician. The fact that for everything that you do, you're bound by certain rules and regulation, you're bound by certain laws. If you're able to read it, if you're able to understand it and interpret it, you will be able to ask the right questions to the officers, and you would be able to try and find solutions, using that skill set. So I think that was what has been most helpful for me.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Any more questions? Okay. Can we take?
Of course.
Yes.
Yeah, as long as
Okay.
audience are not bored.
Who's that? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We'll come back to you, sir. Yes, ma'am. Please go ahead. Right at the back.
Hello.
Good morning, ma'am. Good morning,
Okay.
sir.
We'll come back to you, madam. Yo, please.
Thank you, ma'am, for sharing your experience. But my question is, as you shared that you would like to reduce the casteism that you have faced in politics being a Dalit. So my question is regarding UGC reservation. What do you think about it? How fair it is for students who are who are not getting reservation and who are getting reservation? Is it fair?
It's a very complicated topic, okay, and there's no simple one line answer to it. Um, Growing up, for me, being a Dalit, it was very difficult for me to identify myself as a Dalit. I mean, I was just not confident enough to say it outside that I'm a Dalit. I mean, I went to some of the most premier institutions. I went to a very good school. I went to a very good university. It was just very difficult. But for me, to be able to identify myself as a Dalit, that sort of confidence came to me only when I got into politics, to sort of have that identity. So if you completely eliminate the caste system, then I think everything will be fair. If you cannot eliminate the caste system, then you're never on a fair ground. So probably reservation is fair enough.
Yes,
Hello.
sir. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, sir, we'll come back. She's ready with the question. You keep the mic. Yes, ma'am. Right at the back.
Ma'am, I'm Aprimita and I wanted to ask, as a female politician, you must have faced sexism. What did you do to discourage that behavior?
Can you repeat your question? Hold your mic very
Sexism,
close.
what have you-
Okay, all right, okay.
This is, I really thank you for this question. Okay, I'll just tell you one incident. So, I mean, if you sort of Google or, Google me, or if you see the YouTube, you'll see some of my debates or questions at the assembly. So I come out of the assembly one of the days and I got asked this question. I got asked this question for my first year a lot by all the male politicians. The question that they asked me was, don't you have any brothers? So that was a question that that I was asked. So that was a sexism or the sexist statement. So I asked, so if my brothers had become, if they were elected, would you have asked them that, do you have sisters? Do you have a sister or do you have sisters? So this is what it is. So you just take it. So the thing is, like I said, patriarchy, that's something that's, it's seeped in a lot into our society. And you and I need to make that change. So yeah, so that was the question that I asked.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
My question is from what you have been talking about for so long, two problems that you have talked about, which are very, very big problems, which are, one is a patriarchy that is prevalent across north, south, east, west of our country, and the other thing is casteism. What in your mind is something that each individual sitting in this audience can do at their level to start a change?
To start a change.
I'll first answer it in a funny way. I would think that men should start cooking first. I think they need to get into the kitchen. See, most of the girls are clapping. I think it starts from there. I think it's how you bring up the boys at home. I think patriarchy will change then. I mean, I think it's the responsibility of every man and woman, father or mother or the people surrounding that saying that these are the fixed things that a man should do, these are the fixed things that a woman should do. I think so. I think it starts first from the kitchen, right? And casteism, I think to a large extent, it may get eliminated if there are intercaste marriages. I mean, it's a very simple solution. It's very complex. I mean, there's no one answer to it, but to a large extent, once you're married to somebody from the other caste, they try to empathize with you. They understand your situation. They understand where you're coming from. But when you're marrying within your own community, within your own caste, then there isn't that much of understanding about what is the what are the setbacks, what are the challenges that you face. I think marriage is a sort of a simple solution to that.
Thank you. And with that, with your permission, let's close this session. I must tell you, it was wonderful interacting with you, Nayana.
Thank you.
You've
Thank
been
you so much.
extremely open, transparent. You exhibit all those qualities that we have heard and read about you. Thank you so much. India, Karnataka needs more such politicians as you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Abhay. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. It was wonderful to share the morning with all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.